focal pointers, welcome back to another survivor story. I am so excited to be joined by Pascale today. Pascale, thank you so much for being willing to talk with me.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we'll jump right in. And
Okay.
our first question is to talk a little bit about your diagnosis, if you're comfortable with sharing. What was the diagnosis you received?
I was diagnosed with colon cancer, stage 3. That meant it had spread to the lymph system. That was a diagnosis.
Yeah, that's a pretty serious diagnosis. So we'll move on to our second question. To give us a little bit more context, can you talk about how old you were when you received that stage 3 diagnosis?
I was 46 and I was completely healthy. Well, so I thought, and just went in for some, routine colonoscopy. And when I woke up, there it was, the diagnosis. So
Yeah, that's a really shocking diagnosis. You were 43, which is pretty.
46,
You were 46. Okay. You were
46.
46 at time of diagnosis, which is still pretty young and you're perfectly healthy. So that I'm sure is a bit of a shock. That's actually our third question. If you could talk a little bit about how you felt at the time that you received that diagnosis.
I think what you said, shock, is probably pretty accurate and in the real sense of the word because you or we just never thought about it. You go in these kind of tests and you are often arrogant enough just to think, oh, I'll be fine. I just go because I have to do it. Um, I think we were just stunned in a way and maybe also a little bit paralyzed in our thinking, feeling. And it's just that huge cancer word ahead of you, which seems to be a mountain of things that need to be done and questions. And it was just stunning in not the good way.
Yeah, yeah, that big feeling of shock, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
And you talk about almost not feeling like arrogance enough, and that's come up a lot. Like when you haven't been diagnosed with cancer or you haven't lived with cancer in your life, you're lucky enough to think, well, oh, that's not going to happen to me.
Mhm.
And of course, everyone is someone who hasn't lived with cancer until they do and they have received that diagnosis. So I think that's a really important piece of perspective for all of us watching to think about. um
And I think one point, if I may interrupt, is that there's a big question I think that comes up is always why me,
mhm.
right? Um, and I voiced that once to a friend, and she said back to me, "Why not you?" And first, I was kind of upset that she would go there,
Yeah, that's
but
a
that was
real
just a
friend.
friend
Yeah,
to
that's
go
really
there.
real.
And I think that was one of the most helpful questions because it brings everything in perspective. You go like, why do I even think it's never going to be me?
Yeah.
And that just brings it right down to earth. And I think that's extremely important for everyone that gets diagnosed, not to go to the ifs and whats and why me's, but straight into the okay, now what can I actually do?
Right, it is me. and
It
and
is me.
that I don't have control over. Yeah, I think that's
Correct.
really, really important, Pascal. And I think that even beyond a cancer diagnosis, I think that's really sage advice. And yeah, I can see, of course, hearing that from your friend could be really hard during that time, but those real friends who just always keep it completely honest with you, it's important to have those people in your life for sure. Um,
Correct.
so that also kind of leads us into our next question, which is this obviously we're going to be donating money to American Cancer Society this month, and
Mhm.
we're so grateful that you all are sharing your stories to help support that. They provide things like free rides, lodging, social support. They also donate to cancer research and facilitate a lot of amazing volunteer opportunities to support patients living with cancer. But I wanted to hear if there was anything else that you see outside of just donating to this campaign that you found helpful or supportive, especially during your time dealing with your diagnosis?
I think all what you just mentioned is obviously extremely important, and I think every family who's touched with a diagnosis and then the healing process behind it, and hopefully the survival process behind it, is helpful in every step, and there's no words, to be grateful for everybody who is contributing and works in that field. Um, to get your question, what is helpful? I think one of the most basic helps is that you have family and friends just standing by. And with that, I do not mean telling lies, which as you're gray, you're ashen, your hair falls out, and they look at you, oh, you great. No, I don't, and I know it, and it is okay, because that's just not important right now. I think friends that are standing by with you and just sometimes just silent and just are okay with suffering with you and going the way with you without just giving advice, or because I feel if you're not in the shoes of a cancer patient or of the family member who is fighting to live, um, you just can't give advice,
Mm-mm.
because you just don't know. You don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels to be so scared. You feel the how devastated it is to see your children scared for you, your beloved husband sees scared for you. And that's just a feeling nobody can feel if you're not in there. So sometimes it's a little, may I say, annoying or counterproductive
Yeah.
if you're getting all these, oh, I know how you feel and you should be doing that and you're looking great, I'm going to do this for you. It is so well meant.
Hmm.
And as a cancer patient, we know that it's all well meant. It comes from the best of the hearts, but often the most helpful is just go with it. Be there, listen. I think the listening is a very important part, because often I just wanted to communicate, or sometimes I didn't want to talk for a whole day. And then I was very thankful when they would just let me be silent, right?
Hmm.
But just go with the cancer patient and never, ever, ever forget the family.
Hmm.
Because as a patient, you're the center of attention and you get everything. You get the love, you get the hugs, you get the whatever it is.
Hmm.
And the husbands, the wives, the children, they are often a little bit in the outer periphery,
Hmm.
but they need as much as the patient does, because they don't feel it either, right? They're not in their shoes. So they need a lot of time and love and care.
Yeah, that is a really good answer. I mean, you talked about so much, and I really liked the part you shared about we don't need advice because you don't know what it feels like. We don't need, you to tell us how we should feel. You're already dealing with a cancer diagnosis. And I think you can know people mean well, but the last thing you need to do is trying to extend empathy to all these well-meaning people who, was like, I know you mean well, but this, and this. Like, no, I think that
Yeah.
for me it's super helpful. Like, okay, just know that I can be there, ask what somebody needs. We can ask what somebody needs, or even just say, yeah, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to sit in
Correct.
the fact that it sucks with you, and
Mhm.
that be enough. Like, that's really amazing to get that advice from you. This isn't a written question, but just because of your diagnosis story, Pascal, and the way things happened for you, is there anything you want to say about the importance of checks? Like, we had another survivor who is fighting breast cancer currently, and she's surviving and fighting with that every day, and she's a big proponent of self-check. So is there anything you want to say to us about the importance of that?
I absolutely want to, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
there's the reason that my dad passed away 2 years ago in the same cancer diagnosis. And he only passed away so young because he was not willing to get checked. So there is a big, big plea always in my heart. And I don't know what it is that especially male
yes,
are
it's a big issue.
extremely hesitant. And I'm not going to try to verbalize my theories about why not.
Not here, but yes.
We all know where I'm going with that, but just go and get it done. It's the day ahead sucks, but the PrEP medication is has gotten better since even I was diagnosed.
Really?
Nowadays, you're taking tablets. You know, it's you still have to drink, but you don't drink this huge amount of gallons of really disgusting liquid. It has been made so much easier. Um, yeah, it sucks, but the next day you go in, you you fall asleep, you wake up, and you're done. And that will literally potentially save your life. And you know, breast cancer and so many cancers are in forefront of raising money and being so out there. Um, Colon cancer is not really talked about it. It's the colon. It's
Yeah,
not
there's probably
sexy. It's not.
stigma around it too. There's yeah,
Yeah.
that people don't talk about it, but I mean,
Mhm.
you say it can save your life. It saved yours. Like you
It
are a
did.
testament to
Yeah,
how critical that is.
it really is. So I mean, that prevention is foremost, and then obviously healthy food. Keep your colon healthy. You know, don't put all the stuff in there that maybe shouldn't go in there. And also, when you or if you're diagnosed with it, don't give up because it may come back. It came back for me in the liver, and that's often connected. But then again, you know, after being well, and you sometimes you think, every 3 months, do I have to go back in the hospital again? Do they gonna put stuff in me again? Do they gonna scan again? And it's really, really can be very annoying, but it's you as a patient have to change the perspective. You go in with, I am so thankful that they're gonna poke me. I'm so extremely thankful they're gonna put poison in me. I'm so thankful they do another scan. And I think the moment, even within the chemo surgeries you go through, the moment you change the perspective by looking at it and turning doubts and angers and frustration into a thankfulness
Mm.
of what everybody is doing at the hospital, doctor, the nurses, everyone, it becomes so much easier and you get to experience so many beautiful things. And then the cancer story becomes an uplifting story, becomes a story of hope, of going through it together with people you love, and a story of being even more thankful for life, you know,
Yeah, that's
going to the
incredible.
next level of optimism, happiness, and joyfulness.
Yeah, Pascal, that's incredible. Like that just it gave me goosebumps. It really did. I think your focus on gratitude, which is something that has also been consistent through a lot of these stories, is incredible, admirable. Not only have you given us that advice to look after ourselves, and when I tell you, you have my promise, I will always make sure to go in, get all my checks, make sure, it's not pleasant. Nobody's doing these things because it's fun, but it's so
Yeah.
critical. And gratitude, that shift in
Mhm.
perspective, it's not just something that affects you, if you're unfortunate enough or if your family member is unfortunate enough to live with cancer, that's something we can look at every single day. So I think that is a beautiful, wonderful piece of advice. And I'm really grateful for you sharing that with us, and for everything that you've shared today. Before we go, I do want to remind everyone we have a goal of making a $5,000 donation to ACS this month and every month. And if there's anything else that you want to share, please feel free to do so now.
Just go ahead and donate
Okay,
to everyone.
thank you so much for
Of
for
course.
for joining, and yeah, we look forward to the fundraiser.
Perfect. It was my joy. Thank you.